Hello and welcome to the final exam review, or kind of the final day breakdown of our Upward Bound Integrated Math 1. In this video, I just want to talk about kind of what our last day is going to look like together, and kind of give you some things to think about for the final exam, or what we're calling, the Upward Bound program kind of calls it a post-test. I look at it as kind of a final exam. Look at it how you will. So, the biggest thing that I want to make sure that we understand is that any grade that you get in this class, you have earned through the breakdown on the syllabus. I'm not necessarily going to go over that today. You can check the intro video or just read the syllabus yourself to figure out how you're going to get the grade that you want to get. Today, or during day 10, students will do the following, kind of in order. I've looked at this once already and kind of realized some things maybe happen at the same time, whatever. But the first thing we're going to do is Mastery Challenge number 9, our last Mastery Challenge of the class, and that'll be graded on the spot so that we can get our results right then and there. And I will have retakes available to do revisions on that. It's probably one of the longer mastery challenges, so keep that in mind. Don't think that it's going to go as quick as maybe some of the other ones we've done. After that, the next two things are kind of going to happen at the same time. I think what I'm going to do is trade you a workbook for a final exam, or a post-test. That's what it's going to say on there, but I don't know. I kind of think of it as I like the term final exam because it feels like it weighs a little bit more than maybe it does. But it's one of those things that the program wants us to do, and we're going to do it a little bit differently in the sense that when you took the pre-test, it was kind of a timed thing. I didn't want to take too much time because we had a topic to cover that day. But I think I gave you like 15, maybe 20 minutes to do that pre-test. And in this case, I'll give you all the time that you need to do the post-test, or all the time that you want, I should say. And again, I'm going to trade you your workbook for your final exam, so that I can score your workbook at the same time that you're doing your final exam, and that way we can really know what kind of grade you're going to leave here with, hopefully before you leave, if I'm able to grade your final exam in a decent amount of time, which I should be able to. The kind of secret sauce to the post-test, it's the same as the pre-test. So, I gave you 15 minutes before, I'm giving you more time now. You should be able to do better, and it is multiple choice. So I should be able to grade it pretty quickly and get that result back to you in turn pretty quickly. The last thing that you'll be doing on day 10 is to revise any non-passing mastery challenges. So if you have any mastery challenges that you have not passed, you will get an opportunity after you turn in your final exam to retake those. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at what we covered in this class, as well as a breakdown of what that looks like on your final exam. So the way this is broken down is day 1, so back over a month ago. What did we cover in day 1? We talked about adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing integers, or whole numbers, if you will. And this number over here means that there's 4 questions on the final exam that are related to that topic in some way, shape, or form. It might be 1, 1, 1, 1, or 2, 0, 1, 1, or however it looks. That's how it's going to look. Okay, there's 4 questions related to that topic. There's also 4 questions related to the day 2 topic of adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing fractions. Okay. And then in day 3, we looked at exponent properties. There's 4 questions that go along with that. And those exponent properties, you can look back in your workbook, or you can look back at the video that I talked about exponent properties. And, those were the power rule, the product rule, and the quotient rule. So that's one of those topics that kind of doesn't really get hit again in everything else that we've talked about. And it was one of the harder mastery challenges. So that may deserve a little extra attention when you are studying for your final. In day 4, we talked about combining like terms and the distributive property. So you can go back and look at some of those problems. There's 4 problems on the final that are related to that. Day 5, 1 and 2 step equations, solving 1 and 2 step equations. There's 4 problems related to that. Distributing and solving with exponents. So just some more complicated equations, or we might have called them multi-step equations. There's 3 problems that go along with that topic. And then out of the last 3 days, there's significantly less problems centered around those topics. For slope, for finding slope of a line and graphing lines, there's 3 problems. For writing equations of lines, there's 3 problems. And what we just covered last time we were together in our day 9, which was systems of equations, we talked about graphing and elimination. And there's only 1 problem that's related to those 2 topics. So probably either graphing or elimination, but not both. Okay? So you'll have to figure out, and I'm going to leave you kind of hanging in the breeze for which one you should really focus on. But it's not bad. It's 1 problem. So all that being said, I do want you to do better on the post-test, obviously. Theoretically, the pre-test was you just kind of came in and took a test in 15 minutes and didn't really have any preparation or knowing what was on it. Now you kind of know what was on it. We've covered it over the last, theoretically, the last, wow, words are hard, the last 9 class days. But those days were scattered. So, you got to think back, how long ago how long ago was day 1? It definitely wasn't 9 days, but it was 9 class meetings ago. So, some of the stuff you may want to look back through your workbook and figure out what was on it or what we covered. Even look at your practice problems and maybe cover up some of the problems and retry those problems. But in the long and short of all of it, you know how you're going to be graded. That's broken down in the syllabus. You can look at the syllabus. It's on the 2nd page of your workbook. I also go through it in the intro video to this class, which you can look back on my channel to find. So I don't want to go over a lot of that in here as far as how you're graded, but you should know how you're graded and how you earn the grade that you want. So all that being said, I do want to let you know that I've had a great time with you guys in this class. I think it's been productive for all of us as far as, I'm definitely trying a different style of teaching, so to speak, or I guess a different style of grading, not necessarily a different style of teaching, but a different style of grading, and you're looking at kind of a different class structure than I think you're used to. So, with all that, I think it was a very positive experience. I think we've learned a lot, and hopefully we can show some improvement on the post-test compared to the pre-test. So, all that being said, let me think. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments of this video, and all that's routed through, I get updates on my phone about things like that when somebody puts a comment on a video, and I can hopefully get to answering your question really quickly, especially if you're waiting till, I guess, Tuesday night to do any studying for the test. Let's hope not, but it could be the case. But do know that there's a lot of carryover in a lot of these topics. And I think I've alluded to this before. If you can solve a system of equations using elimination, you're probably pretty good at like 1 and 2 step equations, which means you're probably pretty good at adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing integers. and can maybe even do the combined like terms and distributive properties. So there's a lot of carryover in here. There are a couple topics that I would say are kind of isolated. We really didn't talk about fractions after this day, and maybe that's partially my fault, or I kind of just do it to say that we've done it, but I don't ever really hit it again. Same thing with exponents. Those are kind of an isolated topic, but the rest of it is pretty well kind of self-contained, or I guess not self-contained, but you do the same things over and over again. So I would definitely recommend going back and looking at how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions, because that's 4 questions. And I would definitely go back and review my exponent properties. But I think, the rest of it, I might look at what does slope-intercept form mean for these two for these two sections, because that's really talking about that slope-intercept form of what does y equals mx plus b mean. And then the rest of, this whole kind of chunk here is really like solving equations and dealing with x's and variables and things like that. And this top section is really kind of how do I deal with numbers. So, I kind of look at these as being sort of in groups. Some students do, and some students don't think of those as being in groups. They see every problem as a new hurdle. But, I don't want you to focus on specific problems. I want you to focus on how well you can do certain concepts. So hopefully this helps you kind of relieve some of your test anxiety. I don't want you to stress out about this test, but I do want you to do well. So ask questions, get help where you need to get help. Go back and watch some other videos if that'll help. Most of the videos that I put out, with the exception of some of the last ones, are only like 20 minutes. It doesn't take very long to cover in just a video format, whereas in class it takes, a little bit longer. So get that done. Again, I appreciate everything that we've done in this summer, and we'll see you in class. Have a good day.